I thought I had the perfect marriage with Jessica. 5 years together building our life brick by brick. Then, Instagram happened. She became obsessed with this fitness influencer, Marcus. The constant post the secret smiles at her phone. One night I saw a message that changed everything. Cannot wait to hold you again. My world collapsed. Before I continue this story, let me know where you are watching from. Drop a comment below and hit that subscribe button if you want to hear how I turned my life around after my wife left me for an Instagram star. My name is Earl. I am 35 years old and have worked in industrial maintenance for the past decade. Nothing fancy, but it paid the bills and gave us a comfortable life. At least I thought it was comfortable until everything fell apart. I met Jessica on a rainy Tuesday afternoon at a local coffee shop. I still remember how she looked that day with her chestnut hair falling over one shoulder as she struggled with her umbrella. When she spilled her coffee on my favorite jacket, I should have been annoyed, but instead I found myself offering to buy her another drink. Her laugh was genuine, and her eyes sparkled with sincerity that captivated me instantly. We dated for 18 months before I proposed. The wedding was small, but perfect. Just close friends and family gathered at her parents' lake house. Jessica looked radiant in her simple white dress. When she said "I do," I truly believed we would spend the rest of our lives together. The first 5 years of marriage were everything I had hoped for. We rented a modest, 2-bedroom house in the suburbs and saved diligently for a down payment on our own place. Jessica worked as an administrative assistant at a local marketing firm, while I handled maintenance operations at the manufacturing plant across town. Our combined income allowed us to live comfortably and even take a vacation to Florida each summer. Every night I would come home to Jessica cooking dinner. We would talk about our days, make plans for the weekend, and discuss our dreams for the future. We wanted 2 children, a boy and a girl, in a house with a backyard big enough for a dog. Nothing extravagant, just a happy, normal life together. I prioritized Jessica above everything else. When she mentioned wanting to take evening classes in graphic design, I picked up extra weekend shifts to pay for her courses. When her car broke down, I gave up my plans to upgrade my fishing gear and instead put that money toward repairs. I never once complained, because her happiness was my happiness. The first sign of trouble came about 6 months ago. One of Jessica's colleagues at work, Amanda, introduced her to Instagram. Initially, it seemed harmless. Jessica would post pictures of our meals, our weekend hikes, or the occasional selfie. But then she discovered Marcus Wright, a fitness influencer with over 600,000 followers, who lived just 2 cities away. Marcus posted daily workout routines, exotic vacations, and partnerships with luxury brands. His life seemed perfect in every filtered photo, and Jessica became increasingly invested in his content. She would show me his posts over dinner. "Look at his new sports car, Earl," or "Can you believe he gets paid $10,000 just to wear that watch?" I nodded and smiled, but inside I felt a growing unease. This was not the Jessica I knew, the one who valued simplicity and believed happiness came from within, not material possessions. Soon Jessica began changing her appearance. She dyed her hair blonde, started wearing more makeup, and bought expensive workout clothes she could barely afford. When I mentioned the cost, she dismissed my concerns. "Image is important nowadays, Earl. You would not understand." She began taking countless selfies, often retaking them dozens of times, until she got the perfect angle. Our evening conversations decreased as she spent more time scrolling through her phone and planning her next post. When I suggested we go camping for our anniversary like we had always done, Jessica frowned. "That will not look good on my feed. How about a fancy restaurant instead? Something Instagram-worthy?" I tried to adapt to her new interests. I downloaded Instagram and followed her account, liking every photo she posted. I even suggested taking pictures together for her page, but she always had an excuse. "The lighting is not right," or "Your clothes do not match the aesthetic I am going for." Then Jessica started attending local events where Marcus made appearances. Fitness expos, product launches, meet and greets. She would come home excited, showing me selfies she had taken with him from a distance. He actually smiled at me today, Earl. Can you believe it? The complaints about our lifestyle began gradually. Your job is so boring, Earl. Do you ever think about doing something more exciting? Or, the neighbors just bought a new SUV. Why can we not afford nice things like that? The Jessica, who once appreciated our modest but happy life, was disappearing before my eyes. The final straw in this first phase of our deteriorating relationship came when Jessica canceled our anniversary plans last minute. I had reserved a table at her favorite restaurant, bought her a silver bracelet I had been saving for, and even arranged for her friend to decorate our living room with photos from our relationship. But 3 hours before our reservation, Jessica called. Something came up at work. An emergency meeting. Rain check. I later discovered through her coworker that there was no emergency meeting. Jessica had gone to a rooftop party where Marcus was promoting a new protein shake. The real devastation came 2 weeks later, when Jessica accidentally left her phone at home while going to the gym. I never snooped through her things before respecting her privacy. But when her phone kept buzzing with notifications and I saw Marcus' name flash across the screen, something inside me broke. The messages I found shattered any illusions I still held about our marriage. Last night was amazing, read one from Jessica. The way you held me made me forget everything else, replied Marcus. Their exchanges were filled with heart emojis, private jokes, and plans to meet at a luxury hotel downtown. I felt physically sick. My hands shook as I scrolled through weeks of messages, each one a fresh stab to my heart. There were intimate photos Jessica had sent him, complaints about me and our pathetic suburban life, and worst of all, declarations of love. Rather than confronting Jessica immediately, I decided to confirm my suspicions. The following Thursday, when she said she had networking drinks after work, I followed her to the Grand Plaza Hotel. I watched from the lobby as she embraced Marcus by the elevator, his hands lingering on her waist in a way that left no doubt about their relationship. When Jessica returned home that night, I was sitting in the dark living room. How was your networking event? I asked, my voice eerily calm despite the storm raging inside me. Great. Made some good connections, she replied, casually avoiding eye contact as she placed her purse on the counter. At the Grand Plaza Hotel with Marcus Wright. My words hung in the air between us. Jessica froze. Then her expression changed, from shock to defensive anger. You followed me. How dare you invade my privacy like that? Invade your privacy, Jessica. You are my wife, and you are having an affair, I shouted, all pretense of calmness abandoned. You are overreacting. Marcus is helping me build my personal brand. You are just jealous because he is successful, and you fix machines for a living. She spat back. That night, Jessica slept in the guest room. The next morning, she acted as if nothing had happened, but everything had changed. Our conversations became superficial when they happened at all. She came home later each night, often smelling of unfamiliar cologne. Some weekends, she would disappear, entirely claiming work retreats that I knew were lies. I discovered Jessica had been withdrawing money from our joint account, hundreds of dollars at a time. When I checked our credit card statement, I found charges from high-end boutiques and restaurants I had never visited. She was spending our savings on gifts for Marcus and dinners I was not invited to. Our arguments escalated. Jessica would throw my income in my face. Do you know how much Marcus made from one sponsored post? More than you make in 3 months. Or she would compare our lives unfavorably. Marcus just took a trip to Bali. The closest I will ever get to exotic with you is that Mexican restaurant down the street. I tried saving our marriage. I suggested counseling, planned special dates, even looked into better paying jobs. But Jessica had already made her choice. I was competing with a carefully curated online persona, and reality could not match the filtered perfection Marcus projected to his followers. The breaking point came when Jessica served me with divorce papers. She did not even have the decency to tell me face to face. I came home from a 12-hour shift to find the documents on our kitchen table next to a cold cup of coffee. That same evening, Jessica posted a selfie with Marcus on her Instagram captioned, "Sometimes you have to close one door to find where you truly belong. New chapter. Beginning." The photo showed them on his yacht, champagne glasses raised in celebration of my misery. Jessica leveraged her growing social media presence to craft a narrative where she was escaping a controlling relationship. "He never supported my dreams," she wrote in one post, "always trying to keep me small so he would not feel inadequate." Each lie cut deeper than the last as friends and acquaintances began to see me through the distorted lens she created. While I was still reeling from the public humiliation, Jessica emptied 70% of our savings account. 10 years of careful budgeting, overtime shifts, and deferred dreams vanished overnight. She left me a text. "Consider this my fair share. Lawyer says I could get more." I returned to an empty house after work one day to find she had taken most of our furniture and all of her belongings. A mutual friend told me she had moved into Marcus' penthouse downtown. The final space we had shared, the home we had built together, now echoed with her absence. Just when I thought things could not get worse, Jessica announced her pregnancy on Instagram. The post showed her and Marcus holding a sonogram image, his hand protectively on her still flat stomach. "Baby right coming soon. This incredible man is going to be the most amazing father." The post received thousands of likes and congratulatory comments, each one a reminder of what I had lost. Depression hit me hard. I could barely get out of bed for my shifts at the plant. My supervisor noticed my decline and suggested I take some time off, but I could not afford to miss work, especially now. With most of our savings gone and mortgage payments still due, I was drowning financially and emotionally. I had to sell our house as part of the divorce proceedings. After settling debts and splitting what little remained, I moved into a small one-bedroom apartment across town. My new home was a far cry from the life I had planned with Jessica. The walls were thin, the plumbing temperamental, and the neighbors loud. But at least it was mine, free from painful memories and false promises. Just when I thought my life had reached its lowest point, the universe threw me an unexpected curveball. My Uncle Henry, whom I had only met a few times at family reunions, passed away from a sudden heart attack. I received a call from his attorney informing me that, to my absolute shock, Uncle Henry had named me as his primary beneficiary. I had always known Uncle Henry was well off, but I had no idea of the extent of his wealth until the will was read. He had left me his lakeside property in Michigan, valued at $1.6 million, a 20% stake in his manufacturing company, worth approximately $4 million, and liquid assets totaling $3.5 million. The attorney explained that Henry had always admired how I built my life through hard work rather than handouts. He had quietly followed my career and respected my blue-collar ethic, seeing in me the same values that had helped him build his own fortune from scratch 50 years ago. I kept the inheritance news to myself, initially telling only my parents and two closest friends, Jack and Thomas. After Jessica had crafted such a negative public image of me, I was wary of drawing attention. More importantly, I wanted time to process this life-altering change and decide thoughtfully how to move forward. After careful consideration, I submitted my resignation at the plant. My supervisor seemed genuinely sorry to see me go, offering a glowing recommendation should I ever need it. I thanked the team that had become like family over the years and promised to stay in touch. With financial freedom came the opportunity to pursue dreams I had previously set aside. I had always been fascinated by the equipment I maintained and had often thought about starting a company that provided specialized industrial parts. With my inheritance and years of hands-on experience, I now had both the capital and knowledge to make it happen. I launched Earl Industrial Solutions, focusing on high-quality maintenance equipment and parts for manufacturing facilities like the one where I had worked. I hired experts in the field, invested in top-notch inventory, and built relationships with suppliers worldwide. Within 6 months, we had secured contracts with 3 major manufacturers in the region. Simultaneously, I invested a portion of my inheritance in rental properties, guided by a financial advisor who helped ensure I was making sound long-term investments rather than frivolous purchases. Unlike Marcus flaunting wealth on social media, I preferred to build sustainable assets that would provide security for years to come. As my business grew, so did my confidence. I moved into a comfortable but not ostentatious house, enrolled in business management courses at the local college, and even started volunteering at a community center, helping young adults learn practical trade skills. For the first time since Jessica left, I felt genuinely happy and purposeful. Meanwhile, Marcus' career took an unexpected downward turn. An investigative report revealed he had purchased most of his followers and engagement metrics, misleading brands about his actual influence. Several companies terminated their contracts with him, and his carefully cultivated image began to crumble. Former business partners came forward with stories of missed deadlines and unprofessional behavior. The luxury lifestyle Marcus had flaunted was largely smoke and mirrors, funded by credit cards and temporary brand deals rather than sustainable income or wise investments. As Marcus' star faded, so did his interest in Jessica. According to mutual friends, their relationship became strained as sponsored posts dried up and invitations to exclusive events stopped coming. The penthouse lifestyle Jessica had coveted was rapidly becoming unaffordable. The final blow came when Jessica was 7 months pregnant. Marcus left her for a younger, more established influencer who could help rebuild his damaged brand. Jessica posted a tearful video explaining their mutual decision to part ways, but anyone could see she had been blindsided. I learned all this secondhand until one rainy afternoon when my doorbell rang unexpectedly. Opening the door, I found Jessica standing there, her pregnant belly prominent under her coat, her once perfectly styled hair now pulled back in a simple ponytail. She looked tired, the careful makeup unable to hide the dark circles under her eyes. "Earl," she said, her voice breaking slightly, "can we talk?" Against my better judgment, I invited her in. As she stepped into my new home, I noticed her eyes widening, taking in the hardwood floors, modern furniture, and obvious signs that I was doing well without her. Jessica broke down almost immediately, tears streaming down her face as she apologized for how she had treated me. "I made the biggest mistake of my life," she sobbed. "Marcus left me. I have nowhere to go. My parents will not take me in after how I behaved, and I can barely afford rent on my salary." She placed her hand on her stomach. "I am thinking about the baby now. He deserves stability, a good home. I have been such a fool, Earl. You were always the better man. Always." Something felt off about her sudden appearance and convenient change of heart. Later that evening, I called Jack, who confirmed my suspicions. Jessica had been asking questions about my sudden wealth weeks before showing up at my door. She had heard rumors about Uncle Henry's inheritance through our old social circle and had been calculating her next move. Over the next few days, Jessica made several more visits. She brought homemade cookies she knew I loved, referenced inside jokes from our marriage, and even suggested that we could try again for the sake of her child. "You always wanted to be a father, Earl. This could be your chance." Each attempt at manipulation was more transparent than the last. When I mentioned my business was doing well, Jessica immediately showed more interest in the details than she ever had in my previous work. When I briefly mentioned my rental properties, her eyes lit up in a way they never had when I talked about saving for our future during our marriage. I decided to play along temporarily, pretending to consider her suggestion of reconciliation, not out of malice, but to understand the full extent of her intentions. As Jessica grew more comfortable believing her plan was working, she became less careful. She left her phone unlocked while using the bathroom, allowing me to see messages to her friend. He has millions now. If I play this right, I will never have to worry about money again. I invited Jessica to dinner at my house, promising we would talk seriously about our future. She arrived wearing a new dress, her hair and makeup immaculate, despite her claims of financial struggles. The hopeful smile on her face faded quickly when she saw the folders laid out on my dining table. "What are these?" she asked, her voice suddenly cautious. "Evidence," I replied calmly. "Screenshots of your conversations with Amanda about my inheritance, dated 2 weeks before you showed up at my door, claiming to still have feelings for me." I slid another folder toward her. "And these are the finalized divorce papers. I have already signed my part." Jessica's face flushed with anger. "You went through my phone, you are spying on my conversations. This proves how controlling you really are." "Actually," I said, "Amanda sent these to me. She felt guilty about the plan you two cooked up to get back together with me for my money. She said even she could not stomach how you planned to use an innocent child to manipulate me." Jessica changed tactics immediately, tears forming in her eyes. "Earl, you do not understand how desperate I am. Marcus left me with nothing. I have a baby coming. What kind of man turns away a pregnant woman in need? I am not turning you away without help," I explained. "I will set up a trust fund for your child, not because I feel obligated to you, but because that baby deserves a fair start in life. The money will be accessible for education and healthcare needs, but will only be fully released when he turns 18. You will not have direct access to the principal amount. That is not fair." Jessica exploded, dropping all pretense of affection. "After how you controlled every dollar during our marriage. Now you are suddenly rich and will not even help me. I deserve part of that money. I was your wife, and now you are not," I stated simply. "The same woman who cleaned out our savings, took furniture I paid for, and publicly humiliated me, is now demanding access to money that has nothing to do with our marriage. The irony is not lost on me, Jessica. Her final attempt was to threaten me with legal action, claiming she could reopen the divorce proceedings based on my new financial situation. My lawyer had already assured me this was not possible, as the inheritance came after our separation and was not marital property." As Jessica stormed out, hurling insults and threats, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. The last emotional ties binding me to our toxic relationship had finally severed. I was free, not just legally but mentally and emotionally as well. In the months that followed, I focused on growing my business and rebuilding my life. I met Natalie, an elementary school teacher, whose genuine smile and kind heart reminded me what authentic connection feels like. Unlike my relationship with Jessica, my time with Natalie is not documented on social media, but is instead filled with meaningful conversations, shared values, and mutual respect. I established a charitable foundation that provides support and resources to individuals struggling after difficult divorces. The foundation offers financial literacy classes, emotional support groups, and small grants to help people land on their feet. Turning my pain into purpose has been the most healing aspect of my journey. Jessica gave birth to a healthy boy. True to my word, I set up the trust fund for him, ensuring he would have opportunities, regardless of his parents' choices. We have no contact beyond the necessary legal communications regarding the trust. The journey from heartbreak to healing has taught me that true wealth has little to do with bank accounts. When Jessica left me for what she perceived as a more glamorous life, I thought I had lost everything. In reality, I was being prepared for a life of greater authenticity and purpose. I learned that people who love you for your possessions will leave when something shinier comes along. But those who value your character, your work ethic, and your heart are the true treasures in life. I no longer measure my worth by what I own, but by the impact I have on others and the integrity with which I live each day. Sometimes life gives you unexpected second chances, not to go back to who hurt you, but to find who you were always meant to become. If you have ever experienced betrayal or found yourself starting over, I would love to hear your story in the comments. How did you rebuild? What lessons did you learn along the way? Give this video a thumbs up if you believe everything happens for a reason, and subscribe to hear more stories about overcoming life challenges. Share with someone who might need to hear that their current struggle could be preparing them for something better. Thank you for listening. And remember, your value never diminishes based on someone's inability to see it.